Hi, welcome to Mindful Conversations After Hours. I'm Greg Dwyer. My guest today is Kevin Lane. He's a good friend of mine. He's the creator of Create a Castle. Kevin, thanks for being on the broadcast.
My pleasure. Thanks for having us again.
So, you know, it's been like a year, 6 months, 9 months. I lose track of time, but how did you come up with this concept of Create a Castle? I think it's a fascinating story.
Yeah, it was born on the beaches of Laguna Beach, California.
Okay.
We were on a family vacation, and you know, I saw this dad struggling with one of the bottom fill molds that everybody uses to make sandcastles. They flipped it, and they're so poorly manufactured now it broke.
Right.
They got frustrated, so that's when the light bulb went off, and I said, my gosh, I think I have a solution for this. Went home to see if there was anything pre-existing on Amazon and Walmart and all these big sites. Nothing out there.
Wow.
So I started, you know, just the right timing, right place at the right time. I was working on a website for another entrepreneur who engineered a product called City Bike Basket, and I was working with the engineer launching it into the Amazon channel. So I mentioned it to the engineer. He fell in love with the whole concept of it, and Create a Castle was pretty much born, and you know, that day in Laguna Beach, California.
Wow, it's a great story.
Yeah.
And you have a mind as an engineer. You're kind of a logical, I don't want to say slow pace, but you think things through, right? You're that kind of analytical kind of person, yes?
Somewhat more creative though.
Yeah, I was going to say that combination of the entrepreneur, being creative, and also having the engineering mind, that's a wonderful mix. That's a great combination.
Yeah, and you know, you really do need to have kind of multiple flavors built in, because if you don't, you're going to hit a roadblock, because your mind will tell you, stop, it's not safe, stop, it's not safe. Whereas if you're more open, I think you're going to push yourself to that next level and continue to push yourself.
I was just listening to Mel Robbins on YouTube. Do you know her at all?
No.
Have you watched her? She talks about the fact that what happens is we like to be comfortable. So we're comfortable, we're doing stuff, and it's just comfortable. And then we see something that's an opportunity, and most likely we put the brakes on it. We don't move forward because our brain wants to make us survive and wants to protect us, but really living is outside of that comfort zone.
Definitely, and I'll be honest with you, as an entrepreneur, I did go through those phases. There was a phase of, my gosh, I don't know if I could do this. There's the financial burden. You know, it's a lot of thought process that goes into it. But at the end of the day, you live one life. If you don't take chances, you're never gonna find out how far you can really take this life.
Why do you think most people want to play it safe other than the comfort zone? You think it's the people that they surround themselves with, or do you think it's conditioning? What do you think it is that keeps people stuck?
I think it's a combination of everything you said. Plus, it's you know, you get comfortable with a job that gives you 3-4 weeks of vacation every year. You have a steady income. You have all these things that kind of filter into your life. Whereas doing something like Create a Castle, it's high risk. There's ups, there's downs. It's feast and famine. You never know what is going to come month to month. So you know, I think it's the risk factor that really kind of plays into it.
And it's kind of like a roller coaster. I know in the speaking industry, you know, there's times where you're out there speaking all the time, and then maybe the summers it dries up, and then you have to put that money aside, and you have to plan for taxes, and you have to plan for times when the phone doesn't ring, you know, that sort of thing. Did you ever have a 9-to-5 job?
Yes, I actually did, and I quickly got bored of it because I'm not a cubicle guy. You know, I really, when I was stuck in the cubicle, I always wanted to think outside of the cubicle. And in that type of environment, you're not always allowed to think outside of it. So that's when I had an opportunity to start up my other business, Code Hounds, which is my website development firm. And then I just could really flourish because people were coming to me saying, I want you to think for our business. How can we make our website, you know, do so much more?
Exactly. And I've been studying websites. I've been studying the philosophy that goes behind it and the branding and the marketing. I'm reading a book right now by Donald Miller. He talks about branding your story and how it's important to make sure that you get your message across to people right away. Now, I haven't been on your website recently, but I've seen it before. It's wonderfully done. What do you think people come away with the moment they go to your website? Like, what is the impression that they get?
It's the same exact impression inspiration when, we've done a lot of TV spots now, and basically build sandcastles much quicker, much more efficiently.
Okay.
And we really home in on basically making this a family experience.
Okay.
This isn't necessarily something, it can be if you would just want to hand it off to your kids, that's great.
Sure.
But we really want to pursue the bringing everybody together again, put your cell phones down, just put technology down for a while, and build that experience and that relationship that your family, we all need it.
This is what's interesting, and I've been just reading about this recently, and we haven't rehearsed this, we haven't, talked about this earlier, but I think you're a smart guy in the sense that what you're selling is not plastic. What you're selling is not just the fact that you can take and make a castle easier, which is true, right? You can do that, but what you're selling is something internal that this product offers. And when your customer realizes that, they're going to be married to your story. They're going to be married to what you bring to them as far as the solution, which is everybody is sitting at the table, right? And they're on their cell phones and they're texting each other. They're driving with their phones. They're so much connected to the internet that they're not connected to each other. And this is a vehicle, and I think you know that, and that's what you're selling.
And it's that, and it's also when we're all born, we are all creative creatures by nature.
Right.
We all grow up with crayons in our hands.
Yeah.
And we lose that along our journey somewhere. And this kind of taps back into that, where it's very open-ended and allows you to build really anything you want. It could be a single tower, it could be 100 towers, it could be walls in between, it could be, it's fully open-ended, and that's the way that I want to engineer it from the very beginning, so that no one castle is ever really the same.
So what was the first product that you started with? Just a cylinder? Did you just start with that, or was it something grandiose?
When I first started, it was literally such a crude prototype. I ordered I think a 10-gallon bucket from Amazon.
Okay.
And the theory is to see if I could break the vacuum issue.
Okay.
Because with sandcastles, when you add the water and the sand and all that stuff, there's a vacuum where you can't lift.
Oh, okay.
That's really the issue with the pre-existing molds that are out there.
Okay.
So if you ever watch a family interact with one of those molds, they'll sit there and they'll tap the sides, and they'll try to lift it.
Yeah, sure.
Even if they do lift it, a lot of times the top half will break off because of the vacuum.
Right, and so what you're doing is you're breaking the vacuum by having a hinge on that.
That's right. You're breaking the vacuum not only with the hinge, but also with this part.
Well, how so?
So say that you have this filled with, you really don't need quite as much water with this system. That's the beauty of this.
Okay.
So if there was a vacuum in here at all, this is designed to fit into this.
Okay.
Turn it towards the sky, and it's going to break the seal. And then you're going to pull away.
Oh, I see.
With these two bottom tabs.
How did you think of that? It's just by trial and error, doing this over and over again?
Over and over.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and that's a process that in some cases can be really frustrating, where you're at a place where you know that it's not working and you need it to work, and there's no roadmap. No one has done this before, so you have to figure it out. Now you're the trailblazer.
Yep.
So what's that process like?
Scary.
It is scary.
It's very scary, but I was doing something in the process that I love doing.
Right.
So each time I work with this system, I get better and better, more efficient, figure out how to use it, and I watch other kids and families also interact with the system. They've taught me how to use the platform in ways I didn't even think of.
Wow.
For instance, you can take this, and I've seen kids just take these half walls, and imagine there's a whole pile of soft sand here. Now they can just do this, compress it down.
Make like a road or something?
Make like a road, or it could be like a whole tunnel kind of thing.
Right, which you never intended, but they're doing it anyway.
Exactly.
So there's the creative process there.
Exactly. I really, really like to watch, observe, and see how people interact with the platform so that I can learn from them and basically create new ways to interact with the system.
Now, last time we were talking, you said that you just literally went to a few beaches, just started doing it, and then all of a sudden people started coming around, and some people that actually helped you in your career were there.
Yes.
Tell us that story. That's a wonderful story.
Yeah, when I first had the prototype of this whole product, the very first time I brought it to a popular beach on July 4th, I think it was, up in Massachusetts somewhere. And when I split it, I noticed more and more people were watching me very closely. They were like, what is this guy doing? Is he crabbing with a broken bucket?
Yeah, right.
You know?
Sure, they'd never seen it before.
Yeah, and the more I did it, the more I realized that at one point I looked up and there was literally about 40 or 50 people around me as the kingdom got bigger and bigger.
Wow, wow.
And they were amazed how quick I could build so many of these, these intricate cylinders that are now built out of sand.
But not just sand, right? You also use snow.
Snow as well.
You got 2 seasons going, and then of course you could go to California or Florida in the middle of the winter and do sand, so it's not bad.
Actually, this coming January, we're going to be in St. Paul, Minnesota.
With the snow.
With the snow.
Okay, I had to think that through for a second. Yeah, that's so cool.
Yeah, and now that we've been out there for about 1.5 years, close to 2 years, we're starting to get some feedback from some of the users. And the one common denominator, believe it or not, is they like using it in the snow more than the sand.
Wonder why?
There's less science involved.
What do you mean?
With sand, all beaches are radically different.
Oh, I see.
No sand is the same. Some adheres to itself better than others. Some of the sands you couldn't even use the system in some
But
beaches.
snow's different too, isn't it?
Yeah, but you can add, so say you have like a watering can, you can ice it on the way up.
Oh,
if it's very dry snow, you can actually ice it.
I see, okay,
Yeah.
which would hold it together. And
Yep.
you're also putting lights in this, so you're making it very attractive.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah, the lighting that's what got us on QVC.
Tell us the story. How in the world did you get on QVC? That's
QVC
amazing.
again was, I was at this random beach and we were going to be doing, I think it was called Brigantine Sand Sculpting Festival.
Okay.
And they've been doing it for about 20 years. And we were on this beach in Atlantic City the night before, right next to the boardwalk in Atlantic City. And this young couple walks up, and her name was Kenya. And she said, what are you doing? And I had it lit up.
Wow.
So the lights really draw people into the next level.
Yeah.
And she told me her story. The next thing I knew, I was speaking on iHeartRadio, and then the next thing I knew, I was speaking to this woman, Lisa Askales, the inventress, who ultimately invited me to go and speak in front of a Shark Tank recruiter.
Wow.
And in front of this whole men's and women's panel. And I had this pitch off. I won the pitch off. Then I won the services of Lisa for a lifetime, and she's the one who got me on QVC.
You won the services? In other words, she's like an agent, or
Yes.
she helps you? Wow, that's wonderful. So by stepping out of your comfort zone, not knowing what's around the corner, right? You're going into the unknown and the uncertainty, but you find people along the way, guides, if you will,
Yes.
that are helping you with your vision.
Yes.
That's the journey of the entrepreneur.
And you never know what's going to come up.
Right.
When I first met you, it was by chance.
Yeah.
Through a friend.
Yes, Leslie Earhart.
Yes.
We give a shout out to Leslie. I went to high school with her, and she asked me a year ago to go to the class reunion, and I'm like, nah, I don't want to go to the class reunion. And then I thought about it, and I said, I'm going to go, which I did. And then she said, oh, you need to talk to Kevin, and that was it. So you never know who you know and who they know, and you never know where it's going to, open up another door.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Now on Facebook, do you have like closed groups? Do you have contests? Do you have customers that go in and show their work off? How do you do that?
Yeah, so we will do a contest.
Okay.
We had a big summer giveaway this summer.
Okay.
We joined forces with, I think, 3 other companies. So it's a collaboration of multiple products. And basically what we asked for was to share our pages with other people to let other people know about it.
Right.
And also, if you're a pre-existing customer, share your photos.
Okay.
So we've gotten photos from all over the world now. It's unbelievable. From England, from Australia, all the way back home here in the U.S. We're getting feedback from one gentleman is not retired. Well, he is retired. He's a retired serviceman. He was injured and he's legally blind.
Right.
Loves this down in Siesta Key, Florida, because him and his family can interact together and he gets results and people come over and he's turning heads.
And he's like an ambassador for you,
Yes.
right? That's how that door opened, and he's doing that. And
Yep.
That's wonderful. Have you ever thought about just simply selling this to somebody and walking away, or do you just want to take it for the full ride? What's your thoughts on it?
The timing would need to be right on selling it. This is really like, if you think about it, this is another baby of mine.
Yeah, sure.
Anything that's born out of your imagination becomes your baby.
Right.
So to sell it right now, it's still like in its infancy.
Sure.
And I really want to kind of pursue what the next levels are for it, because within 1.5 years, if you can land 3 spots on QVC, I think the future's pretty bright for this, this particular.
How did you keep up with the demand? Like, you're going on QVC, and obviously you have a supplier, and I know, are you storing these in your home? Do you have a warehouse? You have a warehouse, right?
We have a warehouse,
okay.
yeah.
So you're going on television, you're live, which I'd love to hear more on that. How did you know how many units you were going to move the first day, the second time, the third? Did you know, and could you keep up with the supply?
So with QVC, the way it works is they actually pre-order a certain block.
All right.
They basically ordered, I think it was 2,500 units.
So they buy them for you ahead of time?
Well, they don't buy them.
Oh, they don't buy them?
No.
Oh, what do you mean?
So basically, you are asked, okay, we want 2,500 units.
And you have to bring them?
I have to get them all to the warehouse, but to get them to the warehouse requires about 150 different steps in between all of that.
Wow.
We had to go through extensive testing for QVC to make sure we met their standards.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Like, what do they do? They drop it? They make sure that no one can get hurt from it? What do they test?
They drop it from, I think, the third story in their building.
They do?
Just to make sure that it doesn't break,
Right.
and it's, original packaging.
Okay.
We had to go through, I think, we had our own testing done for strangulation, phthalates, heavy metals, all that crazy stuff.
Sure.
And we had to redo it because it was more than a year old, so we had to, kind of absorb all that.
Do they make you pay for all of that? They do?
All on you, and you even have to, they have qualified QA people that come to your facility, and they inspect the box.
Wow.
And then they'll cut the box open and they inspect the product, and I think they spent 2.5 to 3 hours with Lori just inspecting one kit.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
So it's intense, but they have to be intense because they're reaching millions and millions of people.
Right.
And they don't want to put something on there that's just going to be a one and done kind of thing.
Yeah, and get in trouble legally, and then it costs them more money. So on that first show, did you move them all, or did you move them all eventually? What happened, if you don't mind me asking?
Yeah, so the first show we went through, I think we were on for close to 7 minutes, just under 7 minutes, 6.5 minutes maybe.
Right.
And we moved it a little bit over, I think it was over 1,000 units.
Wow, that's
in about
impressive.
6 minutes.
How long would that have taken you if you weren't on television?
Oh man, I mean, that would be, I would have to go to 150 different beaches just to even touch into that number.
Or a trade show or some kind of convention,
Yeah.
and just the power of television alone.
It is, it's the power of television, and especially QVC. I mean, they've got it dialed in.
Right.
They know how to reach the customer and what the customer want to hear, what they want to hear.
Did you learn anything from them as far as marketing? Did you have any kind of aha moments like, wow, I never thought about this, but just being around these professionals? Like the pitchman, I mean, the guy that was on the show with you, you knew he ate, lived, slept, pitching products.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Did it rub off, or did you learn anything?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
What could you share with us?
So I actually had to go through a training class.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, I had, I think it was a 6-hour training class, and you had to go down to Pennsylvania.
Okay.
And when I was there, I was actually with Jay Leno's right-hand man, and
Who's
came
that,
to find
if you
out.
mind me asking?
It's his marketing guy. I don't remember his name off the top of my head.
Yeah, so this guy was with Jay when he was doing late night? Or
Yeah, so he was there to basically, Jay Leno owns a product where it's like a car waxing product.
Oh, makes sense, because he's into cars.
And he couldn't make it out there, so this guy was coming out to get trained to be on TV on QVC.
Oh, wow. That's
So,
neat.
what I learned in the process was, on that day, the guy said, don't talk about the product itself, talk about the problem that you're solving.
That's exactly the book that I'm reading by Donald Miller. He says, most marketers or most business people say, you need my product because it can help you make a castle in the sand, which it does.
Yep.
But it's the internal problem that it solves. That's the reason why people buy this.
Yes.
Starbucks. Why would you go into Starbucks and buy $3 coffee, $4 coffee, $5? It's the environment. You're sitting there, it's nice, maybe they have a fake fireplace. So they're selling something besides the cup of coffee.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's what you learned.
That's definitely the biggest thing that I learned, and I also learned how to smile a lot.
Did you get your teeth whitened?
I actually had to, yes.
No way. I'm kidding. What did they do? Did they
No,
tell
they
you?
didn't tell me to, but I personally wanted to.
that's so cool.
Just to make sure I look squeaky clean.
Oh my God.
Squeaky clean on TV.
They probably did a background check on you and your family and found out what grade you had in 6th grade.
I wouldn't have been on there if they did that.
Well, what were you like as a kid in 6th grade, 4th grade? What were you like?
Creative.
You were.
Always creative. Going back in time in our time machine.
Yeah.
I grew up in a bakery with my mother and grandmother,
Oh, wow.
and my parents got divorced when I was pretty young. I think I was 2.
Yeah.
And what happened was, I have a twin brother. I also have an older brother. So to quiet us, they were always looking for things to do, and my particular outlet was drawing. Oh. So I would sit there and watch them bake their cakes, and my mom got me these Draw 50 books, and I learned how to draw castles while they're making their tiered wedding cakes, and it took me 40 years, but
wow.
This is really born out of my childhood, I think, from living inside of that bakery.
Right.
Watching them, observing them, and drawing at the same time. And flash forward, this product actually, my mom gave me a couple of pictures that I had drawn.
Wow.
It almost resembles exactly what I was drawing about 40 years ago.
Wow, so it's in your subconscious mind and then you create it. How important is that story when you're marketing and sharing and just getting the word out? I mean, you obviously didn't make that up, that all happened.
Yeah.
But how important is that story for your brand?
It's very important because it adds that personal layer.
Right.
And it shows that this is something that anybody can really dream up.
Right.
You just have to pay attention to your surroundings from the moment when you're a little kid, which we're much more attentive actually, way back then.
Right.
Versus all the way up to now. I mean, you got to pay attention to the small details that are in front of you every day.
Right.
People just miss them.
Yeah, they're misdirected. I do this thing called mind yourself or be misdirected. And what happens is we're so bombarded by so much information that we forget what's really important to us. This ties families together.
Yep.
Whatever your goal is or your dream is, if you don't stay focused on it long enough, it's easy to get misdirected and wake up in your 60 or wake up in your 70 and say, why did I do that? So really having a dream and knowing exactly what you want to do and staying focused is really important. So how do folks get a hold of you? If I know Christmas is coming up, how do they get a hold of you?
CreateACastle.com, start with that. That's going to have all of our Instagram handles, Facebook handles. Everything is Create a Castle.
Okay.
Start at CreateACastle.com, but we're also now sold on Amazon. We're going to be sold on Walmart.com very soon.
Wow.
And
you just gave me chills. I literally just got chills down my back when you said that.
Yeah, well, we're doing Amazon Prime now. It's all kind of QVC. It gives you a lot of leverage.
Are you ever going to write a book about this story?
Absolutely.
You are going to write a book?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Wow, I can see you doing a speaking tour too, because this is a business model. You're giving people hope, and there's, I don't know if there'd be a movie in it, but I mean, think about what you've done, taken a risk, you've created a product, you're helping families. Philosophically, it meets a great need, which is families are kind of falling apart.
Yeah.
And if you can bring people together, families together, communities together, even communities, not just family.
I agree.
Maybe churches or youth groups or just civic groups to build something, maybe they won't be fighting about the elections.
That's my goal. That's my goal right there.
I mean, if you can get these people to play with this, they'll forget about, whose side they're on or whether they're wearing red or blue or whether they, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and that's important in this day and age.
I do believe it.
And we're going to be hopefully building future engineers out of this. This is going to spark things out of kids' minds where they need to think about things before they build. You can't build when it's sideways. You got to make sure it's level.
Right. So you're teaching people how to think.
Yes.
And you're also giving them a plan that if they ever want to start a business, they can follow exactly what you're doing, which is
a lot of hard work.
Yeah. I want to have you come back. Can you come back and do another episode? I want to talk about the social media and the hard work. I had a mentor down in Austin, Texas, say to me about 8 years ago. He says, if you want to be an entrepreneur, you only have to work a half a day. And I went, oh, that's great. And he goes, no. There's 24 hours in a day. And you're probably going to have to work like 12 hours a day. And I know that sometimes, you go to bed at 2 o'clock in the morning. So
yes.
Excellent. So give your website one more time.
CreateACastle.com, and everybody go there, and it's going to show you everything, all the way from our QVC segments that we had.
Nice.
And then it also links up to Amazon, Walmart very soon, and some more other things.
Excellent. Kevin, thank you so much. It's always a joy. We'll have you back, and thank you so much for being on the broadcast today.
Thank you, Greg. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.